Hi, all. I'm Lisa from Trails Edge Astrology, and I thought it would be fun today to do tarot horoscopes for our rising signs as Jupiter goes into Gemini. Now, where Jupiter goes, expansion flows. And, Jupiter is where we find faith, it's where we find trust, it's where we find optimism. Um, and it's where we can find some structure, but beautiful structure and helpful structure. And so it's always exciting when Jupiter changes signs. Jupiter has been in Taurus for the last about 13 months. It spends about 13 months in a sign. And in that last 13 months, we've really been focusing on growth and stability and practicality, maybe. We definitely had Jupiter-Uranus conjunction there, which could have shaken things up. Um, and and this is kind of a next step. So what do we do with that Jupiter Uranus energy? I think Jupiter going into Gemini might help us just see where to go. Like what is the launch point? So Gemini is the sign of the thinker. It is versatile. It is the collector of information. It is not necessarily inclined to make decisions. And so when Jupiter gets into Gemini, we can expect big thoughts, big ideas, lots of variation and versatility. Um, yeah, just wherever Jupiter is, it usually brings grace and beneficence, if you will. It's the greater benefic to that part of your chart. So, if you're curious, Jupiter will be in Gemini right now from May 25th through June 10th of next year. Again, it spends about 13 months in a sign. If you are curious, if you have strong Gemini placements, and you're curious, it was last in Gemini 2012 to 2013. Before that, it was 2000 to 2001, and before that, 1988 to 89. And of course, there's lots of other overlapping things. But if you've got strong Gemini placements in your chart, those dates might give you some indication of the way this will show up for you. All right, so let's go into our signs. And I have put across the bottom of the screen what sign we're on, so you can fast forward to wherever you need to go to see your information. I am intending these to be read for rising signs, but you could also read them for Sun or Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, whatever your major placements are. As always, take what works and leave the rest. All right, so let's get on to our reading for Aries. All right, Aries, my friends. So, for your opportunity during Jupiter being in Aries, you got the Lover. And this is interesting because for you Aries folks, this Jupiter in Gemini is happening in your third house. Gemini is on the cusp of your third house, and the third house is about neighbors and siblings and local communication. So blogs and Zoom calls and newspapers and books and well, books more ninth house now that I'm saying that, but kind of those casual ways that we communicate. And traditionally, the third house is the house of the goddess. So the ninth house, which is opposite the third, is the house of the gods or the priests, so like the formal religion. And the third house is called the house of the goddess, or like where we make the sacred into day-to-day rituals. Maybe we stir our tea clockwise and set our intentions for the day, or something like that. That's a third house kind of ritual. So your opportunity while Jupiter is in Gemini is this Lovers card. And of course, this makes us all think of romantic relationships, but the Lovers doesn't necessarily need to be about romantic relationships. It can be about choices. So I wonder if you will have an opportunity while Jupiter is in Gemini to make some interesting choices about those day-to-day kind of interactions you have with people, or maybe the way you communicate. Maybe there's some choices around how you communicate. Or I wonder, the Lovers card can be like choosing another person. The third house is about siblings. Will you make a choice in a friend who becomes sort of like a sibling? Could it be something like that? So So I think that's a lovely, nice, abundant card for your opportunity while Jupiter is transiting your third house. Your challenges are the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is such a good Gemini card because it's about confusion. This person, this oops, there we go. This bird's nest is over this person's eyes. Um, they don't know where they're going. They have birds on their head. They don't know what they're doing. They can't see far enough to know what choice to make. And that's so Gemini. And you have lived your whole life with Gemini on the cusp of your third house. Jupiter doesn't get there very often. But, as you're making these choices, choosing these partnerships or whatever it is you're choosing with that Lovers card, there could be some confusion in this. And that might be challenging for you. Aries rising, you're used to taking the bull by the horns and just going. And so there might be some, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know quite what I'm doing. And you might have to sit with that. The Jupiter might ask you to sit in uncertainty in that space. But what is your to-do list? What is Jupiter asking you to do? Jupiter is asking you to celebrate. So the third house, of course, being about siblings, peers, those close networks, Jupiter is asking you to celebrate while you are in for the next year. Find things to honor and rejoice in, and live and love, and there's just a lot of abundance in those third house kinds of activities for you. So then our Wild Offering card. We're reading from the Wild Offering by Tosha Silver for our oracle reading, and you got Change, which again is a very good Gemini card. And it says, don't scare yourself with the next 40 steps. All you need is the one next action. You can say to love, just show me the first step and change me into one who can take it. So, Aries, I think that's an exciting new year with Jupiter and Gemini. I hope it all goes well for you. All right. Let's move on and talk about Taurus rising. And I'm going to pause this and deal our cards. Maybe. Oh, maybe not. All right, Taurus rising. So Jupiter is going to be in your second house. Gemini is on the cusp of your second house, and your second house is about how you think about your money, your resources, your values. So just having Gemini on your second house, to my Tauruses out there, might mean that you're kind of flexible with money, that it's not necessarily a like I must do it this way to earn my money. It can be flexible. Maybe your career has changed. Maybe how income has come in has changed, or maybe your values are a little more fluid. Maybe you can really see things from a lot of different angles. So when Jupiter's there, it's going to expand those values or that money. I mean, everybody likes Jupiter in the second house is nice because it can bring more money, but also bring trust and faith in the process of knowing how to step into the things that make you feel whole and good. So, in terms of our cards, your opportunity while Jupiter is in your second house is the moon. And the moon is very much a card of yin expression, of not being able to see, or not necessarily even needing to see. It's or not see with your eyes anyway. It's more of a see with your heart. And so so Gemini is very much about information. And Jupiter is very much about trust and belief and faith. And so I wonder if this moon card is saying, for those of you who are Taurus rising, that you can really expect some, that you have the opportunity to maybe not worry about the details so much, or not just be constantly needing to collect information and bring things together, but really just kind of maybe take a step back and take your hands off and be like, this is going to work out. This is going to be okay. The moon can be about secrets, so maybe there are things that you just don't know, and there's an opportunity not to know them and have that be okay. have Jupiter give you kind of a balm to say, it's okay if you don't know. We're going to figure it out. Your challenge is justice. And so that's interesting because justice is about fairness and balance. And, she's got the scales and she's got the sword. There we go. She's got the sword. So it's very much about what is it you need to make sure that things proceed the way they are. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe there's some secret information or something you don't know, or some place where you're just called to be intuitive, um, but something about maybe Jupiter in your second house is asking you to trust that there is fairness and balance, to trust in the karma of things, to trust that whatever you're intuiting is going to come through and be just fine. So maybe there's just and it might be challenging. It might be challenging for you to trust. It might be challenging for you to assume that the best will come through. It might be challenging for you to assume that there will be justice. All right, and then what does Jupiter in your second house want those of you who are Taurus rising to do? Jupiter wants you to learn. So wants you to think about where do you feel passion? Where do you feel creativity? What are those values you can really, really step into? But this is a card of learning. So, I think what this is saying is that if you step into the unknown around your sense of self-worth and your values and your identity around those things, and you accept that you might have to have some faith that it's just going to work out, that there'll be some really interesting learning opportunities and some ability, or maybe a teacher will show up. Maybe wands, or I'm sorry, aces are that seeding, that beginning energy of like bringing in passion and creativity. So that could be really a lovely transit. And then your Wild Offering Oracle card by Tosha Silver is Solitude, and it says, once you embrace the inner divine in your own sacred solitude, the right people arrive at the right times and exactly on schedule without forcing or chasing. So I definitely think what this is saying is Tauruses, you're good, you're stable, you're practical. And I think this is saying that when Jupiter goes into your second house, um, that just embracing the sacredness and just assuming that the right people are going to come at the right times, and you don't have to control this, that you can really step into this passion and creativity in a brand new way, as Jupiter transits the second house for you. All right, I hope that helps. Let's go on to our Gemini rising, and I'm going to pause and shuffle deck cards. All right, back to my Gemini rising friends. So Gemini rising puts this Jupiter transit in your first house, and that's incredibly exciting because your first house is your identity. It's how you show up in the world. It can be your body. It's really who you are. And so Jupiter being in your first house can really offer an opportunity to have some trust in showing up authentically as you are. So this could give you a new step to to bringing into being something that maybe has been kind of like brewing in the background that you haven't been able to show the light of day. So that might be coming for you. All right. So your opportunity here is the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles is all about um, balance and multitasking. And so, what I think this card is saying is that you have the opportunity to hold a lot of balls in the air at the same time, to be thinking about a lot of different kinds of ideas and activities, and not necessarily having to pick one. That you have some capacity to keep everything kind of floating along. Um, and as a Gemini rising, I suspect that you like that kind of thing, that you like keeping lots of ideas and lots of options open, and you don't necessarily feel the need to make a decision. And I think this card is saying that you don't have to make a decision. You have the opportunity to just keep your thoughts, keep it all coming, and see what lands. The challenge is the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups um, is about learning from relationships and intuition. And so I wonder if this opportunity with the Page of Pentacles to keep everything going all the time might come at the expense of sitting in quietness and really relating, really developing some of those deep relationships, really feeling into your intuition. You're just juggling all the information and going, and there might be some challenge to sit in quiet and to really learn from your inner knowing. So something to think about there. Um, your to-do list. What does Jupiter and Gemini want you to do? Jupiter and Gemini is asking you to think about the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles is a card of loss and poverty, but I don't know that it's a bad thing necessarily. I think what it's suggesting here is that during this time is um, is maybe even though you can keep all of these balls in the air, that maybe you don't want to necessarily all the time. There's the opportunity to, but I think your to-do list is maybe to think about doing less or having less. Another opportunity that could come that Jupiter and Gemini might be asking you to do is realize that you may not feel full. You may feel empty and at a loss, but there's all kinds of resources behind you. And so this might actually, I'm thinking that that's what this is, that you like this idea of juggling all these things, but when you do that, you don't necessarily embrace your inner wisdom and your intuition and maybe those really committed one-on-one relationships that you can learn things from. And so I think your to-do list is to stop or to slow down and to really pick a track, or at least be open to picking a track and seeing what comes of that for you. All right, and so our oracle card is from Tosha Silver's Wild Offering Oracle deck, and you, Gemini Risings, got enjoyment. And so it says, striving and pushing makes life into endless hard work. The more you invite, the more you're inviting love to take over, the more enjoyment comes. Allow me to enjoy this life, dear Lord. So I think that speaks to what we're saying, that you can juggle it all, you can balance it all, and that might be really fun, but that there's some part of you that's asking you to expand something that is really, really meaning, that really speaks to you. This Page of Cups could be that Jupiterian trust and faith in the small voices, in the inner knowing that you have, and yeah, that's how you might find enjoyment, is by not striving and not pushing, but by just sitting in and enjoying the moments as you have them. All right, I hope that's helpful, Gemini Rising. All right, Cancer Risings. So Cancer Risings, this Jupiter in Gemini transit is going to happen in your 12th house. Now, Gemini is always in your 12th house, but Jupiter there is going to expand that area. And the 12th house is not always our favorite house. It's a house It's a house of deep spirituality, traditionally ruled by Pisces. It can be a place of escapism, or it can be a place where we just can't quite see. It's that time right right as the sun is just rising, and you can't really see yet. It's all foggy and murky. But yeah, so a deeply spiritual place, a place. Traditionally it's called the place of undoing, but and it can be undoing in like detrimental ways, escapist kinds of ways, but it can also be undoing in just allowing yourselves to go um, you know, into a space of cosmic collective consciousness, just really breaking down boundaries and silos, and finding that finding grace, finding spirit, um, yeah, finding some larger meaning. So with Jupiter in Gemini in the 12th house, yeah, maybe there's just some expansiveness around that spiritual journey, whatever spiritual journey you're on. So, okay, what are our cards? What does the tarot say for Jupiter transiting through your 12th house, Cancer rising? Um, Jupiter says you have an opportunity for the Four of Wands, and the Four of Wands is a card of celebration. So, it's a card, the fours are all about rest, and the 12th house is a house of rest. It's not an active house. It's a house of sitting and being in a space, and not necessarily like on the rat race running. Um, so so Cancer rising's the Four of Wands. Is there an opportunity, or not is there? The tarot is indicating that there is an opportunity for you to sit in a space of grace and just celebrate the stillness, celebrate what you're able to maybe let go of, or what you're able, like maybe take some time and do I've been wanting to do a silent meditation retreat forever, something like that, or take a solo vacation, or just give yourself some time and space to just really celebrate being in stillness, and being able to kind of like think higher thoughts, and not necessarily be running. So the challenge of this time while Jupiter is in your 12th house is the Nine of Cups. And this is an interesting one. Let's think about this. Is um, the Nine of Cups is a card of wishes, and of kind of getting what you want. And that can be challenging. So I wonder if you do take the opportunity and give yourself some time to do some real 12th house resting, if there might be a challenge, because a lot can come your way. It might be a little overwhelming. To my Cancer risings, you've probably got you're deeply intuitive, you're deeply empathetic, and so if you give yourself that time and space to really focus on yourself and really turn inward, I wonder if there's just a lot that's going to come up, and and a lot can be a lot sometimes. So that is possible. Your to-do list. What does the tarot say you should be doing while Jupiter is in your 12th house, Cancer risings? Jupiter is saying that you should be the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups is somebody who lives in her intuition. So that very 12th house, intuitive, we're not seeing this on a 3D level necessarily, but we're um, really living in our inner knowing, really living in, it could be deep empathetic friendships, but it could just be like really sitting and not, just not giving in to the craziness or the rat race of the world around you. So deep inner knowing. So there's some to-do list, something there that's inviting you to spend some time with some of that internal stuff. And then for our oracle reading, we're reading from the Wild Offering Death by Tosha Silver. And Cancer risings, you got hardship. And it says, may I embrace what is happening right now, as baffling or painful as it is. Help me to trust where you are guiding me. I am yours. So that's kind of cool. So that's, again, I think that just being in that 12th house space, you might not be able to see where you're going, but you're going somewhere. I hope that's helpful, Cancer risings. All right, Leo risings. All right, so Leo risings, this Jupiter Gemini or Jupiter in Gemini is going to be in your 11th house. The 11th house is your house of community and friends and just benefactors, nice, yummy, yummy kinds of things. So Jupiter being in your 11th house might expand your, your connections with groups, or your connections with groups of people that you care about, or maybe some help along your path to whatever it is you're passionate about. All right, so let's see what the tarot says about your journey, Leo risings. So your opportunity is the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is a card that that basically says you might not be there yet, but you're on your way. So I wonder if the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction didn't seed something in you. It would have been, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction would have been in your 10th house of career. And so maybe it seeded something in you. And maybe over this next year, while Jupiter is in your 11th house, you have some chance to move forward in a way that's going to make you even more successful, or make things come together in an even nicer way. So I think that you have an opportunity to really make some changes and bring some success and abundance into your life. Your challenge, though, is the Empress, and the Empress is all about abundance. And so I wonder if it just too much of a good thing. There can be maybe there's some overwork here. Maybe you have the opportunity to succeed, and it's going to be challenging because you'll have to put some limits on it, or there might just be too much to know which way to go or how to do that. And so your to-do list, what Jupiter is asking you to do, well, it is in your 11th house, my Leo rising friends, is the Four of Cups. And so this is really interesting, because the Six of Wands is success is on the doorstep. The Empress is saying that maybe some of the challenges, there's so much going. The Four of Wands is saying, be still, and it's okay to be a little bored, that you don't necessarily need to dive in to all of this. Like maybe all of these social opportunities are coming up, or maybe all of these community groups or these causes that you've been really passionate about are just suddenly available. But there's some part of it, some part of spirit is asking you to just be still, not overdo it, to not overwork during this time, to enjoy all of the opportunities that are coming up while Jupiter is in your 11th house, but to know that it's okay to take a break. Fours are always about taking a break, and it's okay to sit still and to be a little bored, and to just not push forward as quickly or all the time. And for your oracle guidance, we are using the Wild Offering Oracle from Tosha Silver. And Leo rising, you got positivity. And it says, if you can find even one thing to be grateful for, it will restore you to the light. Please, dear God, let me always feel gratitude for something, even a tiny thing, in the hardest situation. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see how this plays out for you. So it seems like lots of opportunities, lots of success, lots of potential. But yeah, what are you grateful for, and which piece of it do you really want to attack? And it's okay to be slow. It's okay to sit and let yourself ponder for a little bit. So, Leo rising, I hope that's helpful. Enjoy Jupiter in Gemini. All right, Virgo risings. So, for Virgo risings, the Jupiter in Gemini will be in your 10th house. So your 10th house is always Gemini, but with Jupiter there, that could mean expansion of career. It can mean expansion of kind of your public facing presence in the world. I think by all accounts, we would say that Jupiter in the 10th house is a super good thing and super exciting in terms of how you show up. And yeah, again, it's career or vocation. If you're working, if you're retired, it might be your volunteer opportunities or your social groups or what your public presence looks like is going to be expanded and really refined during this time when Jupiter is sitting in your 10th house. So, what does the tarot say about what you will be up to? So, for your opportunity, while Jupiter is in the 10th house, your Jupiter is bringing you the Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles is about, it's the apprentice card. It can be learning new things, or it can just be really perfecting something. And as a Virgo rising, perfecting things is something you probably really like to do. And so there's just some real opportunity to really like lean in and enjoy like making your world as beautiful as you can, making it look the way you want it to, or really just Virgo risings also tend to be about service. Like that, it's important to help others and do unto others. And I love that she's painting the butterfly. So it could be like perfecting how you serve others in the world, or how you help others in the world. So there's an opportunity for that. For that to show up. Now, your challenge while Jupiter is in Virgo is the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is the happily ever after card. And I know that, many Virgos are warriors, or are, very, very discerning. And so Virgo risings can tend to find fault with things that may or may not be true for you, but for a lot of Virgos can be really self-critical, and so I think the challenge right now is that you have this opportunity to really perfect and to master something related to your career or public presence. Um, and the challenge is going to be to know that what you're doing is a happy ending, is good enough, is perfect just the way it is. So there might be some rub with that whole thing. Like there's a real invitation to go forward and to step into some nice power, and just accept that it's good and you deserve it. The to-do list. So what does Jupiter want you to do while it's in Gemini in your 10th house? Jupiter is asking you to find the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is about living with our wounds. So we have these wounds that may not heal. Lots of things have happened over our lifetimes, and those wounds, like you can do your therapy, you can do your energy work, you can do all of that, but there's some part of it that may not be totally healable. But Jupiter in Gemini is asking you to go on anyway, and to know that even though you may carry some scars with you, you have survived. You have you have you have climbed the mountain, you have gotten to the other side. And so there's an invitation while Jupiter is in Gemini in your 10th house to live with the things that you can't ever fully undo, and know that you survived. So, and that you can go on, that you have made it to the end of whatever that story was, and you are almost ready to start the next story. So we are looking at the Wild Offering Oracle by Tosha Silver for our guidance from the universe. And Virgo rising, you got ambition. So the card says, may I offer all of my deepest longings to love itself and invite a divine plan beyond the mind's imaginings. Please use me for the highest good, which I think is super beautiful for you, Virgo rising, because I think you probably want to be used for the highest good. You want to always find the highest good. So I think this is a really exciting transit for you. I'm eager to hear how it all plays out for each and every one of you. Yeah, what is it? What is it? What is that invitation? And can you step into it and really embrace all that it has to bring? All right, Virgo risings, I hope this has been useful. All right, next up is our Libra rising. Sorry about that. Next up is our Libra rising. And for Libra risings, this Jupiter in Gemini is going to happen in your ninth house. And the ninth house is about, it can be about higher education, it can be about trust and faith. The ninth house is the natural rulership for, for Jupiter, for Sagittarius. And so your Sagittarius is in the third house, and your Gemini is in the ninth house. So it's there's some expansion of the higher mind, perhaps. Yeah, education, travel, um, books. You want to write a book? This might be a good time to do it. Some expansion and opportunity around all things related to that, those Sagittarian optimistic kinds of flavor done in a very Gemini kind of way. So that mixing of facts and truths and beliefs and how all that comes together. You do that every day. With Gemini in the ninth house. But this is, yeah, this is just really letting you step in and maybe expand some of that, find some of that space and beauty and, yeah, expansiveness of the mind, yeah, some higher thoughts, something coming your way in that respect. So, what does the tarot say about what you might be experiencing? So, interestingly, for your opportunity, the tarot is saying, look to the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords is about rest, it's about healing, letting yourself rest to heal some wounds. Now, eclipses have been happening in eclipses have been happening along your ascendant descendant axis and the Aries Libra axis. So eclipses have probably been hitting home for you. I wonder how April was for you, March and April, how that time and space hit you, if there were some big changes. So as Jupiter comes to your ninth house, that place of abundance and the higher mind and learning and those kinds of things, faith, um, I wonder if Jupiter isn't offering you a balm or a way to rest and kind of heal all the work you've been doing related to the eclipses. So normally I would say when Jupiter comes to the ninth house that yes, travel, yes, um, read all the books, yes, go to the lectures, yes, find the teachers, all of those kinds of things. But I wonder, if this Four of Swords is indicating um, that that there's healing and learning in being slow and being restful. So food for thought there. If there's an opportunity to rest, or maybe Jupiter in the ninth house is just giving you um, a little bit of time to integrate all that's been going on with all the eclipses. Um, what will the challenge be? The challenge will be the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is about passion and creativity, which are very Jupiterian things, very ninth house kinds of things. So, Yeah, so I think there's going to be during this time when Jupiter is in your ninth house, Libra risings. I think that there's going to be this push and pull, this expansion and contraction, and you're really going to be invited to figure out how to balance all of that, and not and to really love and enjoy the abundance, and not have it be too not have it be necessarily overwhelming. That I, what this is saying is there's a real invitation to rest if you need it. Um, that said, your to-do list. What are you supposed to do while Jupiter is in your ninth house of Gemini? You are supposed to take a risk. So the Knight of Wands is a very the wands are all I'm sorry, the knights are all about movement, about going forward and taking action. And the Knight of Wands in particular is about moving quickly and decisively, and just really living into your passion and your creativity and going for it. So this is an interesting spread, because we've got two cards that indicate your challenge and what you're supposed to do, that say like go forward and like live in that heart space. But your opportunity is to rest. So I think there's some duality here. I'm curious, um, all you Libra risings in my life, like how is this showing up for you? I bet there's an eclipse story here, that if you give yourself some time and space, if you don't necessarily feel the urge to jump in with both feet, that maybe there's going to be some opening that will let you kind of like cut to the head of the line. Food for thought. All right, our oracle card is from the Wild Offering Oracle deck by Tosha Silver and Libra Rising. Your card is Trust. And it says, when love is invited to take over, right actions arise at the right times. Allow me, dear divine, to wait patiently until the timing is right. Let me rest in the unknown until the clear path is shown. So that makes so much sense with the cards that we drew, that there's a lot of opportunity in that space of mental growth, and there's some duality. You're going to need to balance something. One step forward, two step back, two steps forward, one step back, whatever it is, and however that shows up for you, it's going to be a dance over the next year while Jupiter is in your ninth house. All right, Libra rising, I hope that was helpful. All right, next up we have Scorpio rising. So for Scorpio risings, this Jupiter in Gemini time period is going to be in your eighth house. And your eighth house is about the place where you connect with other people, where you share resources with other people. So on the material plane, it can be your mortgage, or it can be contracts you have with others. It could be your marriage partnership or something like that. It can be the money around any of that. Interestingly, the eighth house can also be about where we're vulnerable, where we give emotional resources to other people. It can be a house of transformation, where there's death and rebirth. The eighth house is really, it's um, a complex picture. Um, for those of us with Scorpio rising. Um, and to have Gemini there probably means that just on a day-to-day basis, that you're really fluid with how you connect, in kind of material or karmic, how you make yourself vulnerable. There's some fluidity there, or there um, might be some lack of interest in being too serious about really being vulnerable with others. And so with Jupiter there, we are being asked to expand that part of our life, maybe expand those connections to the partners and to the people in our lives. Maybe get a little messy with entangling resources, entangling how we connect. And see what that yeah, what that looks like. So Jupiter is asking us to expand that, yeah, um, that nebulous space where we are entangled with others. All right, so what do the cards have to say about those of us with Scorpio rising? I have Scorpio rising, so that's why I keep saying that. So those of you with Scorpio rising, what do the cards have to say about how Jupiter in our 8th house is going to show up for us? And in terms of opportunity, Jupiter in your 8th house is the star. And the star is when I wish upon a star, it's one of the nicest cards in the major arcana. It's about um, getting your wish. It's about being able to pick and having it come true. So so there's something maybe about connections with other people, or maybe stepping into that vulnerability and being willing to get entangled with others that brings about a wish or a hope. Or maybe you have been hoping to get financially or karmically or contractually entangled with somebody, and Jupiter coming is going to expand that and let that happen. So what are the challenges? And this is so interesting. The challenges of Jupiter being in your 8th house are the King of Pentacles. And I like to think of the King of Pentacles as the Midas touch. Everything the King of Pentacles touches turns to gold. It can also be about legacy. It can be about stability. It's about a leader who really is financially and materially stable and secure and just really, really solid in terms of getting stuff done. And so I wonder if you have the opportunity to make a wish or to hope for something that might be a little messy and entangled, and the challenge is that you then need to like live into that space of really shepherding through whatever it is you have wished to bring into existence. Or it could be that you wish for something and you get lots of entanglement and maybe lots of money with it, and you have to figure that out. So there's some kind of challenge in that whole in that process of whatever it is you're molding and bringing in this interaction with someone else. um, so what is your to-do list? What is the universe asking you to do in this moment while Jupiter is in your 8th house, Scorpio rising? It is asking you to be the Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands is an explorer. So the pages are all about learning. And wands are about passion and creativity. And so the invitation, while Jupiter is in your 8th house, is to really explore and be curious about your passions and your creativity and what that could bring in. And I think if you're willing to wish and you're willing to like do the work and show up and be the caretaker of whatever it is you're building, like this curiosity will take you a really long way. All right, so our oracle card is coming from Tosha Silver's The Wild Offering Oracle deck. And Scorpio rising, your oracle card is feelings. Scorpio risings have deep, deep feelings. It says, emotions want to be felt. You really can't surrender something until you deeply feel it. Allow me, dear divine, to offer all emotions to you, feeling them fully so that they no longer hold me captive. So that's interesting. So this is there's some wish, some curiosity, but ultimately, while Jupiter is in your 8th house of entanglements, there's something that needs to be felt, and that when you can feel it deeply, when you can go there, it can really speak to you and guide you. So Scorpio rising, I look forward to seeing how this plays out for you in the coming year while Jupiter is in your 8th house. All right, Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius rising, Jupiter in Gemini is going to be in your seventh house. So your seventh house is your house of committed partnerships. So it can be the marriage house, it can be your best friend, it can be a business partner, any of those kinds of things. It's where we come together with other people. And you always have Gemini there, so it is probably always kind of a more fluid than it is for somebody with like Taurus. Um, in the seventh house or something like that, who might be more stable and more grounded. So with Jupiter and Gemini in your seventh house, um, I wonder if there's not going to be some expansion around how you partner with people, how you come together with people. Um, if you're married, Jupiter in your seventh house could have be kind of a resurgence for your marriage. If you're single, maybe you meet somebody, or if you're looking for a business partner, maybe you meet that person, or maybe if you're entangled, maybe that expands. So yeah, Jupiter expands what is there, and this is the house of committed relationships. All right, so what does the tarot tell us about this Jupiter in Gemini season for you this next year? So your opportunity for Jupiter in Gemini is the moon. And I think actually the Aries rising got the moon as their opportunity as well. So that's interesting. You fire signs must be colluding. Um, so the moon um, is about not being able to see necessarily. It's about secrets. It's about really listening to your intuition, not seeing with your eyes, but seeing with your heart. Um, seeing with the yin, your yin voice, your yin mind. And so I wonder if, while Jupiter is in your seventh house, if there's not an invitation to not to work a little bit less, you know, doing all the material things, but to really kind of like release in and relax into this space, this relationship space. Maybe not push it in kind of a material way, but to really feel into it, like follow your heart's lead, listen to your inner knowing, that kind of thing. Um, I also wonder, like, are there some secrets? Are there some? Is there some opportunity for secrets to be revealed, or that kind of thing? But there's some opportunity around relationships that's not necessarily um, like swipe left, swipe right kind of thing. It's more of an intuitive kind of feel. And the challenge right now is the Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace of Pentacles is about those material things. It's about starting new things in a really physical, tangible sense. So maybe pentacles aren't necessarily about relationships. They typically more are about jobs, or like building things, or that kind of thing. So I wonder if in relationships, if your opportunity to really release into it and to be intuitive is going to come is going to be counterintuitive to your desire to like swipe left or swipe right, or do the material things that you're used to doing, do the stable things that you're used to doing. So there's some challenge to like let go of necessarily needing to build something. Maybe that's it, that the moon is asking you to dissolve in whatever way that looks like, um, some relationship boundary maybe you have, and the challenge for you is really going to be letting go of that boundary. But what is your to-do list? What is Jupiter asking you to do while it is sitting in your seventh house? It is asking you to embrace the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles is about mastering something. It's about making something and putting something together, making it whole. It's typically about teamwork. So interestingly, whereas the seventh house we would typically think of as two people, two committed partners, um, the Three of Pentacles is potentially three. And as a Gemini rising, I'm not saying that that's not an option for you. That's totally an option. It's totally an option for any of us, but particularly for those of you, your Sagittarius rising with Gemini in the seventh house. Um, anyway, never mind. But there's something that you're being invited to build something. So So this is interesting. So there's something about disillusion and living in your intuition, some opportunity there, some challenge about building something in the material world, but then an invitation to build something, an invitation to partner to build something. Maybe that's it. Maybe, you know what, I think this is it. This is saying this is not a time necessarily to go it alone. Listen to your heart, lean into it. It's not a time to necessarily go it alone, but it's a time to think about what partnerships looks like, and when you partner, what it is that you build. And so I would say a Three of Pentacles partnership is more of a business partnership than a romantic one, but that wouldn't necessarily have to be um, totally that way. It's more of a utilitarian partnership, I guess. You're actually constructing something in the 3D world. So that's interesting. Now we're going to pull an oracle card from the Wild Offering deck by Tosha Silver, and the card you got is Perfectionism, which feels very, very pentacle-like to me. It says, permission to make mistakes is so freeing. It's the root of creativity and change. Allow me, divine, to make as many mistakes as I need. Free me from the prison of perfectionism. So that's super interesting. That's, um, the moon is not about material perfectionism, but the Three of Pentacles, I would say, is. And so there's something in there about that, like breaking down boundaries or disillusion of something so that you can build something else, and some freedom to allow yourself to make mistakes and not know exactly where you're going in that relationship part of your life right now, that will allow then this expansion and this ability to maybe get where you want to go, or maybe it'll take you somewhere you don't even know you didn't know was a possibility. So all right, Sagittarius rising, I hope that is helpful. All right, Capricorn risings. So for Capricorn risings, Jupiter in Gemini is going to be in your sixth house. And the sixth house is the house of daily work. It can be a house of illness or health or illness. It can be, the a house of service. It's the traditional house of Virgo. So it's that space where, we do the work we need to do. We serve the people we need to serve. We get our stuff done with our daily routines, our daily habits. It can be certainly about, things like exercise programs or eating programs. And I will say that when Jupiter is in the sixth house, we should watch our health. We should look at, Jupiter is expansion. And so Jupiter can bring, not inflammation. Mars is typically more inflammation, but just like puffing up and swelling and maybe even a desire to relax and not work quite as hard as you need to. So it can bring some of that kind of stasis. And so do watch. Jupiter in the sixth house is perhaps a little harder than Jupiter in other houses, because it can expand things that maybe are not as healthy to expand. On the other end of that, it's about daily work. And so it can also expand. You could be working really, really hard. You could be overdoing that part of your life. Maybe your work-life balance gets off in all of that. Or let me turn it around and make it a little more positive. When Jupiter is in the sixth house, it could help you figure out that balance, figure out what your daily routine looks like, how it is that you embrace the things that need to be done so that you can get to the places you want to go. So that's for Capricorn risings, what we're looking for and about as Jupiter enters your sixth house. All right, what did the tarot cards say about this? This is interesting. We'll have to think through this. So for your opportunity, we've got the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Swords is actually a card of nightmares. It's you know what I think it is? What I think it is that, so anybody with Capricorn rising has been through Pluto and Capricorn over the last 13 years, and Pluto's now going into Aquarius. And so a lot of people who have strong Capricornian signatures have done a lot of soul searching and a lot of working over these this last decade plus. So I wonder if the opportunity as Jupiter goes into your sixth house is to is to is to recognize that it was hard and there were some nightmares and there were some anxieties and there was some paranoia, all of the potentially all of those things at some point on this journey, and that you have survived it, and that it's the opportunity is maybe to embrace that. Yes, things may have happened to you and it may have been a difficult journey or a difficult road, but you are stronger for it, and you came through it in a way that has made you more authentically who you are. So I wonder, Capricorn risings, if there's not some piece of uh, that integration of what has happened and allowing it to then let your daily routines and your habits and your health and all of that settle out in a way that honors what's happened, whatever's happened, but doesn't let it control you, doesn't let it live through you, doesn't let it go on, doesn't let it have more life than it needs to have. So the challenge for you, Capricorn rising, is the Hierophant. So when Jupiter enters your eighth house, or your sixth house, I wonder if there's not going to be, the Hierophant is typically a teacher, or it could be a spiritual leader. And I wonder if, as the Hierophant, or as Jupiter enters your sixth house, if you won't find a teacher or a lesson or some spiritual guidance, maybe to give some meaning to whatever has happened to you, whatever opportunity you have to kind of integrate and realize you can move on from. I wonder if there's a challenge to invite in some learning or some faith or some trust in the process, that whatever happened, and I don't want to say so that you could learn a lesson, because horrible things happen to people that I don't believe we've set out in this lifetime necessarily to do. But what we do with that information is our own. And so I wonder if the challenge is just going to be looking to a teacher or accepting something that you have learned in this process in a sixth house kind of way that lets you then step into this next chapter. It lets you expand some piece of yourself in your journey that you've been looking to expand. And then what does Jupiter want you to do while it is sitting in your sixth house? And Jupiter gave you the Empress. And the Empress is all about nurturing and love and creation and bounty. And so, so Capricorn rising, you can be melancholic sometime. Capricorn is definitely a very, very serious a lot of times, depending on your other placements, but can go towards the more serious end of the spectrum, like the gotta do the things, get the stuff done. And and I think that while Jupiter is in the sixth house, you might have an invitation to stop and smell the roses, to just enjoy, or maybe what this is saying is really, this is your opportunity to really create those day-to-day routines, create those habits that will let you step in and become who you really have been wanting to come. Whatever you overcame that is giving you these nightmares that you now know you're through, that you lived through, is there a chance to step into some abundance, or rephrasing that, Jupiter is asking you to step into abundance, to really own who you are and your creativity and your process and all of that. And let's see what our oracle card is. We're drawing from the Wild Offering Oracle by Tosha Silver, and I didn't pull one while I had us paused, so let me pull one now. What do we want? There we go. All right, Capricorn rising, you got courage. So courage says, divine courage is not the absence of fear, but a nudge that says, keep going. Do it. Don't worry. All will be well. You have to get quiet enough to hear it. Dear Divine, may I feel your courage and your will. So that's so interesting because the Hierophant is not a loud card. So there's something about, um, embracing. There's wounding. There was some struggle here, um, but there's teaching and there's abundance available to you in that sixth house space, in like the work you do every day, on yourself. Um, I was just reading a book by Brian Clark, who, and he was talking about the sixth house as kind of that place where, like, we figure out how to fill our own cups. Like we figure out how to do our own work before we go into the seventh house, which is out in the world to partner with somebody. So yeah, so I wonder if there's just some invitation to take a hard step, related to how you live your life day to day, the things that happen to you day to day, and then and that will open up some abundance, some Jupiterian abundance and grace and trust and faith and all those kinds of things. So, Capricorn rising, I hope that was helpful. All right, on to Aquarius rising. So, Aquarius rising, Jupiter will be in your fifth house, and Gemini in the fifth. So, the fifth house is about, it's about fun and pleasure and creativity and individuation, and risk taking, and all of those kinds of things. It's about romance, maybe, romance without necessarily any strings attached, and yeah, I mean, the ultimate creativity is like having a child. So Jupiter in the fifth house, if you are looking to be pregnant, that could be a good thing. That could be really, really nice, and kind of give you that little kiss of God in that space. If you're not looking to get pregnant, all good. It could give you that impetus to be, even to really step into your creativity, to step into the individual that you are, or that you want to be. You know, and in creativity, that can be art, that can be music, that can be any of those kinds of things. But it can also be, building a business, or it could be, maybe writing a book. I would think of books more as ninth house things, but in the act of that, it is a creative act. It could be a fifth house kind of thing. So, so yeah. So I think for Aquarius rising, this is, this space is really a beautiful, um, abundant space of bringing something within you out into the world to share with those around you. All right, so what does the tarot say for you, Aquarius rising? So the tarot says your opportunity is temperance. So right now, Pluto is in your first house, or approaching your first house, depending on the house system you use. Because Pluto has just entered Aquarius, and Pluto in your first house is about transforming who you are, and Jupiter in your fifth house is, of course, about this expansion of your vital force or your creativity, and so your opportunity right now is temperance, and so there's something about balance and about an invitation to, to kind of strike a pose and to, like, she's floating. She doesn't have legs. She's just kind of floating because she's just balanced just right. And so I wonder if there's not some, some piece of all of this, some, maybe there is a risk, or maybe there is a reward that you're trying to achieve. Maybe there's something you're trying to bring into the world, birth into the world. And I wonder if this isn't an invitation to just figure out how to like hold all the pieces together and really make it happen. Some divine harmony. Some, Jupiter might be giving you the opportunity to like figure out how to pull it all together, in a really nice way. Your challenge, while Jupiter is in your fifth house, is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is a card about walking away from things that previously have been good, but aren't as good as other things. So, it could be like like recognizing that some piece of your life is done, some door is closing, and that you need to leave that, even though it's good, even there's nothing wrong with it necessarily. It's just time to move on. It's time to do something different. And so your challenge is going to be closing that door and walking away, walking on to whatever the next chapter is, whatever the next thing is, whatever this temperance is allowing you to balance so that you can bring into creativity, into life, bring it to life. Um, and what is Jupiter asking you to do? Well, it is in your fifth house. Jupiter is asking you to be a little Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is about kind of like holding on to what's yours. It's not about sharing. It's not necessarily about um, giving to other people or, you know, it's not, it's about thinking about yourself first, maybe. And I'm not saying like don't be a horrible person or anything, but it's just about this idea of about just rallying your troops. Put your fence up. Put your fence up. You need to build something. You're creating something, and to do that, well, Jupiter is in your fifth house. It's saying it's okay not to do everything for everybody else, but to hang on to what's yours a little bit tighter until you're ready to share it with the world. So now we are going to look at Wild Offering Oracle by Tosha Silver to kind of put a capture or put an end note on this. All right. And your oracle card is Striving. And it says, eventually, the individual ego drives to make things happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read that again. Eventually, the individual ego's drive to make things happen falls away, replaced with a relaxed, trusting openness to the answers as they arrive. Thank you, Divine, for letting me move with the flow. And so that feels like this Temperance card. Move with the flow. You're looking to bring some creative piece of yourself into being. And this reading is saying, move with the flow. You're probably going to have to close some doors. You're probably going to have to walk away from some things that are just fine, but not getting you where you want to go. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to be a little guarded and to be a little selfish. And this card is saying, is saying specifically, you don't have to make all this happen. This is coming intrinsically from within you, and you don't have to push, you don't have to strain, you don't have to compromise to get it done. So, Aquarius rising, I hope that was helpful. And look forward to hearing how it shapes up for you. All right, Pisces rising. So for Pisces rising, this transit is in your fourth house. So Jupiter will be entering Gemini in your fourth house. And the fourth house is the house of ancestors, family, parents, home, all those kind of really deep parts of our chart that make us intrinsically who we are. So yeah, with Jupiter in there, it could mean some expansion in, something with parents or ancestors, or it would be like a really really lovely time to take up genealogy or something like that, to dive in to any of those parts of your life. I wonder if it could also be something to do with property or your house. Like maybe you build a swimming pool or something. You expand some piece of your house, or something along those lines comes to pass. So family roots, ancestors, parents, house, any of that kind of area of your life is has an opportunity to expand in the next year while Jupiter is in Gemini. All right, so what does tarot say for you, Pisces rising. So, Tarot says that while Jupiter is in Gemini, your opportunity is this Ace of Swords. Now, for Pisces rising, both Saturn and Neptune have been in Pisces for a good long time, and that's probably, Saturn wants to shore things up. Neptune wants to make things nebulous. And so I think as Jupiter goes into your fourth house, there's some invitation to really dive into deep thought, to really be rational and precise. So this feels like a very Gemini card to me, in in that in that space of like what are the rational steps? I'm intrigued. I mentioned ancestor work. I get my finger in the right place. So there's a little keyhole right here in the center. And so that just makes me think about like tracing family origins back, or doing some expansive work around, maybe even like ancestral healing, or if you've heard of constellation therapy, family constellation therapy, or that kind of thing. Where you just go back and kind of work through some of those past steps. So this is swords in this context are about communication, or about intellectual pursuits, and so this is like new ideas, like a new idea, a new breakthrough idea coming to you. It's definitely a sharp mind kind of space. So I wonder if maybe there has been some fogginess, but maybe there'll be some clarity around home and family that you'll have an opportunity to embrace over the next year as Jupiter is in Gemini. All right, what will the challenge be for Pisces rising? The challenge will be the Star. And the Star card is about the wish. It's about making a wish. And it's one of the nicest cards, I think, in the deck. Like, this is like the thing you want is coming to pass. And so I wonder if, while Jupiter is in Gemini in your fourth house, if there is not some intellectual pursuit that you have been wanting to have, and there's an opportunity to have it, but there's something about the about maybe letting go of the way you want it to go, or the way you think it should go, or maybe letting go of like the dream of what something could look like, for the cold hard facts, if you will. So something along those lines, I think. The opportunity is there's some factual information or some intellectual pursuit around home and family, and karmic roots, and letting go, or being challenged to let go of whatever you think that should look like, or whatever the dream should be, whatever the shoulds are in that situation. So what does Jupiter want you to do while it is in your fourth house in Gemini? Jupiter is asking you for temperance. And temperance is about balance and harmony and really going with the flow. And as a Pisces rising, going with the flow probably is something that you're reasonably good at. Better than a Taurus rising, for example, that is a little more staid, and or even a Scorpio rising that's just not quite as mobile. But Pisces are pretty flexible and adaptable. Maybe with Saturn in your first house, it's been a tough ride. Maybe not with Neptune. Maybe not. But there's something about you're being asked, at least in the situations of home and family and fourth house kinds of matters. Jupiter is asking you to have some grace and some just some go with the flow, go see where things take you, and don't be too rigid. Kind of give up on this I don't want to say give up, don't ever give up on your wishes, but like maybe let go of something that you're hoping will happen that's not really rationally practical, or not plausible given the circumstances. So we are going to do an oracle pull from the Wild Offering Oracle deck by Tosha Silver, and the card you got, Pisces rising, is Impatience. And it says, "My life unfolds in divine timing. All delays are beneficial. I'm at the right place at the right time. So that's really interesting. That's so something around this family and home, karmic contracts, that kind of space, ancestral healing, that kind of space in your life. Um, I kind of feel like these two go nicely together because temperance is saying balance and just feel into it, see where you go. And in patience, this card is saying, I'm in the right place right now, even if I can't see my way through, even if I feel like Neptune has just fogged up my entire life. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm doing the work I need to do, and it might look different than I think it's supposed to look. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that Jupiter in your fourth house is abundant and beautiful, Pisces rising. All right, and then finally, if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. It helps me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy Jupiter and Gemini.